Hey everybody, this is Dominic DeAngelo, and this is WrestleZone.com interview, a very special one with none other than Colby Corino. Colby, thanks so much for joining me today, man. It's awesome to speak with you for the first time and get a little bit details. You've had quite the 2020 so far, it seems.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's had quite the 2020.
Right? Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's been quite the change of pace. Yeah, I started off too. Well, how do you feel? Like coming into this year, I'm sure you had a lot of stuff lined up, and then the pandemic throws a lot of stuff in the works, a wrench in the works, so to speak. How did you kind of see your 2020 going, and it's still kind of working out in a roundabout way for you? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot different of a vision for 2020. But in some ways, I think it worked out for the best. Like, my time off during the pandemic gave me a lot of time to, like, train and be able to get in the ring at the local wrestling school. And I feel like I've really improved because of that.
Yeah, what would you say so much that you worked on a lot that you focused on during this downtime, maybe in the ring?
I really just worked on the fundamentals, making every little thing that I do just so smooth and trying to figure out the best way to move in the least amount of movements.
Yeah. Keep it tight, man. It's kind of cool because I write for MLW, and so they've been churning out old episodes of MLW Underground, and your dad's on there, and it's just really neat to. I mean, I grew up in the Attitude Era and getting to watch ECW, so like seeing your dad wrestle guys like Dusty Rhodes and everything like was really neat. So coming back to it and seeing him cut promos against Terry Funk and things like that has been pretty cool. And I noticed too in some of the clips, like I watched your brief match too on 205 Live with Mansoor, and just noticed a lot of similarities. Would you say that, like, would you go back and see footage of both you two working together and see a lot of similarities? And what would you say probably stands out between you and your dad the most in regards to in-ring work?
Like, when I go back and watch my dad, I feel like the most thing that stands out between us that are similar is just, like, our attitudes and, I guess just, like, the way we are. It's not even something I try to do, but everyone tells me that it's kind of against my power.
Yeah, right. You kind of feel that a lot. What's the biggest aspect of wrestling that you've taken from your dad, would you say? Like, whether it's, like, let's talk about, like, from the business, or just a way to handle it and cope with the business from a day-to-day experience. Because, I mean, it can be a grind, as I'm sure you know, and just making towns and doing and staying relevant and everything like that. That's such an important aspect, too.
Yeah, like, one of the biggest things that I took from my dad is that I'd probably say it was the storytelling aspect of wrestling, and adopted more of his, like, the psychology behind it and stuff. Like, I feel like I've learned a lot of that kind of stuff from him.
Yeah, no, and, you know, your dad's really, really good at that, too. Even just in brief moments of rewatching, like, Underground, you can see how he handles himself in the ring, and then how he sets up things, like, through promos and everything like that. I feel he's definitely watched a lot of stuff, and I'm sure he's introduced you to a lot of things, too. Is there something that really sticks to you, that, like, certain footage of guys from Legends or whatever it may be that you've really found an influence in your own ring work and how you approach wrestling?
Like, a lot of the stuff that my dad showed me and always recommended me to watch is, like, usually, like, late 80s studio wrestling. I don't know why, but it seems like that's just, that's the type of stuff that he really likes, like world class and Georgia Championship Wrestling and wrestling from Florida and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty cool because if you go back and watch those, they're all different territories, so it's like they all kind of have their own style and sense to them. Is there one that you really appreciated, like, that really played a factor in how you develop? Like, whether it's, like, did you have a favorite one, like whether it's World Class or Georgia or anything like that?
Ooh, that's a tough choice.
Right?
I'd probably have to go to Jim Crockett Promotions, like the Mid-Atlantic, during that time, just because my friend Mr. George South was a part of that, a huge part of that.
Yeah, and That's pretty awesome too, because I talked off air about this with you. Is you're inside the squared or the circled square on NWO, and you getting to work with him in the ring. How was that whole experience, especially too in a studio environment that like your dad kind of introduced you to with the footage and everything? How was that whole experience, and just working with a legend like George South?
I absolutely loved it. It was my first time ever like working across the ring from George, and it was such a great opportunity. It just felt like I got to do the match George's way. And a lot of people that watched the match ended up saying that I could have done more, and it was a little boring. But I'm very happy with it because I got to do it the way Mr. George wanted to do it.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people too, when they go back and see that stuff, and like newer fans are so used to the quick pace and the high flying moves and all that stuff. And there's certainly a spot for all that and everything, I feel. But like having that atmosphere that NWA presented in the studio, and plus working with a guy like George South, I think there's a lot to say about the storytelling aspect of it, like what you're going back to with your dad and everything. How much do you try to find the balance of keeping ring work athletic and like kind of modern, but also keeping that storytelling aspect to it? Do you find it tough to do in the ring, or has it kind of come natural to you in a lot of ways?
I think it comes pretty natural nowadays, but it definitely didn't. It's something that I've developed over time. Like, I don't really find it hard to be able to mix the athletic pace with storytelling. It's you just got to find a reason to do everything. Right, yeah. Is there a certain talent too that you've worked with over the course, like maybe a peer like that's your age or anything that you've kind of had that chemistry with, and maybe you've kind of learned a lot from? Ooh. Probably, honestly, I've learned a lot from John Gresham, and not like that in that we've trained a lot or any time, but I've been across the ring from him a few times, and every time that I step into the ring with him, I feel like he outclasses me and just inspires me to learn. Like he always like figures out something new to put me through, and like I don't know, it really drives me to push myself.
Yeah, no, Gresham's a perfect guy to bring up like that because he's working with ROH, and his ability to what he does in the ring is just amazing. And there's so many people talk highly of him too, and there's good reason for that. So no, that's definitely a good one. Let's see. Describe so what's been kind of pretty neat is that, like we mentioned earlier, is you were on 205 Live with Mansoor, and then you were also on WWE RAW Underground. How was that atmosphere being in those two different environments? Can you describe a little bit of the experience with both of those? How were those for you?
Oh, it was great. Raw Underground, that was actually a ton of fun, believe it or not. In Pennsylvania, I used to train at a school called the Sanctuary, and some weeks we would just take off the ropes and train, just so that the students wouldn't get so reliant on using the ropes. Oh. So I felt a little prepared to do the Raw Underground stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And then with 205, that was so great wrestling at the Thunderdome. I was real. Yeah, that's real special to me because like after the pandemic's over and like the crowds come back or anything, I feel like I'm gonna be one of the people that I was actually able to say, I'll be like, oh yeah, I wrestled in that huge empty arena in front of thousands of virtual screens.
It's got to be a one-of-a-kind experience. And yeah, you're right. I can't remember who I was talking to about this, too, in an interview. But I was like, Scorpio Sky I was talking this with. He, like, just knowing that you're kind of in this pandemic atmosphere where, everything's changed. The normal is not normal anymore. And it's, you got to focus on working, like, with no audience most of the time. It's going to be kind of neat as a wrestler to look back on that and be like, I had a part in that. That was kind of me. And Thunderdome is a one-of-a-kind experience, I'm sure. How was that, like, just seeing all those screens? Was it a little overwhelming, or did you kind of just focus what was happening on the ring more so, and it didn't become too much of a factor in, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a outside, distraction. That's what I'm looking for.
Like when I walked into the arena and first looked around at the beginning of the day, I was definitely like awestruck. I was like, "Wow, this is crazy."
Yeah.
But once I get in that match mindset, I'm pretty much tunnel vision. I don't. It's very like I don't really focus on the crowd, and plus I train in a wrestling school, so I'm very used to wrestling in front of no people at all. So I actually felt pretty comfortable.
That's good.
Probably more comfortable than I would be in front of like an arena full of people.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about that too. Getting in the match mindset almost. Because I know too. Like just I've had theater background and knowing like if I have a play that night or something like that, I have like anxiety up until the moment it kind of starts, and then once the event kind of gets going, then you get in that mindset. How long does it take you to get into that mindset when you know you have a big show coming up, or is it like minutes before the match, or are you pretty set the day of? Where's your mindset at in a lot of ways when that comes to that, or does it vary?
I'd say it definitely varies, but I try to be there as ready as I can be as early as possible. Like as soon as I first hear about the opportunity that I'm getting, I try to make myself as ready as possible from there. I'm a very worry-wart type person, so I try not to leave things till the last minute.
Yeah, it's always good to plan ahead, no doubt about that. And yeah, no, I feel you. I'm in the same mindset a lot of the time with that. Yeah, it can definitely get you sometimes. Yeah, with Raw Underground, the production and everything like that is so different than what you see, like whether it's in the Thunderdome or even at the PC when they had it at the PC. How was the production value of it, and just what the vibe of the people around there and like the people involved with it? Did you feel is it overall pretty positive? And like you said, it was pretty fun to do. Talk about the experience of interacting with everybody in there and how they approached it all too. And was it different too, just from being in the ring?
I've been an extra at other TVs before, like pre-pandemic, and it seems like everything was like I'm not saying like business as usual because everyone was wearing masks and there's a lot more like precautions taking place with all the testing and stuff. But like when we were actually there and everyone was working, like the hustle and bustle just seemed very normal to me, like normal for WWE Backstage,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it can be adjustment to some, but if you're kind of used to it at a certain point, it gets a little easier. Let's see. Yeah, what stars besides your dad have played like a major factor in your development as a wrestler? Like you mentioned John Gresham, but like it could be just from like an educational standpoint of things, like learning, but also as a fan, like growing up as a fan of the sport and everything.
Oh man, I'm a huge fan of Roderick Strong growing up.
Oh yeah.
Who else do I love? I love like Chris Hero and Claudio, all those like 2010 era ROH guys. That was like my prime time for watching wrestling. So like David Richards and Tyler Black and all them, watching them kill the whole house with everything. That's really what made me love wrestling, I feel like. I always loved it. Like, I always watched wrestling. But, like, ROH during, like, that 2010 period was like, all right, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Oh, that's great. Around those times, did you get to see a lot of those shows live, too?
Oh, yeah. I probably was there for about 50% of the shows.
Yeah.
As school allowing, because I was still in middle school at that point.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's true too. That's kind of neat you bring that up because I moved to Philadelphia in 2010. I live in Pittsburgh now, but I think it was like maybe the first weekend there, or maybe the first month I was there. I went to an ROH show at the old ECW arena, and it was great. Like, and they had those talents there. Like Davey Richards was my big guy back then too, and it was. Having that time there, and your dad playing a part in that too as well, I'm sure. I can see how that's like it is a neat era of wrestling, no doubt about it. And did you get to interact with anybody? Have you got to interact with guys like Claudio and stuff when you are like an extra in WWE or anything like that?
Oh yeah, like so many of the guys in WWE, like I've grown up with like in the locker rooms, and they've known me. So getting to see them is always like a little family reunion, I was pretty happy when I go to TV. Yeah,
it's got to be fulfilling, man. Let's see. Yeah, so when did you move to North Carolina? How long were you in Philly then?
I've been in North Carolina for about a year now.
Oh, okay.
But I've been bouncing between North Carolina and Philly for a few years now.
Yeah. Talk about just growing up in Philadelphia. Were you right in the city, or were you like in the suburb area, or where exactly were you at?
I was about 30 minutes outside the city north, and but I mean, I definitely had my favorite cheesesteak spot at Tony Luke's right around the corner from the ECW arena.
Right.
I don't think anywhere else had the best had cheesesteaks. I don't know if it was just the proximity thing or what. But.
No, you know what? Tony Luke's is the one you hear about all the time. Like everybody's like Pat's and Geno's and stuff like that, obviously. But that's so touristy, and I tried one, I think, once there, and then I went to what's it? Oh, Jim's on South is the one I was pretty familiar with most of the part, and so. But yeah, what area? Like, what was the name of the suburb that you were in Philly?
Quakertown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, that's a good spot, no doubt, man. Is there any? Do you have some aspirations? I bet it's kind of fulfilling to get back there, like whether you're doing a show and everything like that. How does it feel to be able to wrestle back in that area too?
There's not much wrestling out of that area, actually. Like, I mean, besides outside Philadelphia, but like the actual area I grew up with, there's only like a flea market promotion.
Yeah. But have you gotten to wrestle in the city though, like at certain spots?
Yeah, I've wrestled in the Voltage Lounge a bunch of times for GCW.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, there's some really good venues there. I miss Philly. Like I can always say I can always go back there. No doubt about it. This is what's I think really cool, and I got to see this too in your promo that you did with NWA, the Circled Square, was like how emotional you got over being a dad and everything like that. And I thought that was super cool. And like, how has that changed you as a wrestler and like adjusting for the industry, if at all? But like, I'm sure just being a dad in the business is something that was another element that came into play for you.
It actually like drives me. It kind of like, some people like they have kids and they start falling out of love wrestling or need to take time off. Like, I feel like having my son has driven me to succeed and make everything work, so I can make a living from wrestling for my family. Yeah.
I'm sure having that too. And like knowing how your dad handled the business too, did you learn a lot from him, and have you adapted that a lot in the ways that you wrestled as well as be a father too?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, did you, now being in the Philly area, were you a big sports fan?
No, I only like wrestling.
That's it. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. This is what I wanted to mention too. Was what were some of your outside influences that kind of you brought into your work as a wrestler, like hobbies or anything like that? Is there anything that really stands out to you that became a big factor of you just kind of developing yourself as a persona in the ring?
I couldn't say like something specific, but I mean, I play a lot of video games. I listen to a lot of music. I used to watch a lot of movies. I don't really have time to that much anymore, unfortunately. But
yeah, what's some of your favorite bands and stuff?
Dance Gavin Dance, The Wonder Years, David Bowie, Pink Floyd, La Dispute, Circus Survive. I'm literally just going off of what kind of music tattoos I got on my body right now.
Your playlist on your arm, on your body.
Yeah, so whenever anyone asks, I just have to look down and look around a little bit.
Yeah. Let's see here. No, yeah. Hey, you can't beat guys like Bowie and Pink Floyd, bands like Pink Floyd. I mean, those are the standards, and you can always just branch away from those too, and find some pretty cool new stuff as well. Yeah, man. I think there's no bigger influence in wrestling a lot of the times than music. So I can definitely see how that's it too. Let's see. Oh yeah, what's one thing you'd like to see change about the current state of the business, if anything at all?
I can't think of really anything specific to change, but like, to go along with the whole speaking out movement, I feel like that was good cleaning up of wrestling, and I really hope that it wasn't like just a fad where people did it. And I hope people feel more comfortable speaking out if someone makes them feel uncomfortable or does something wrong, because I feel like that as a wrestler that are in these little locker rooms and that working with these people. Like, I knew so many of the names that came up in these allegations, and I had no idea. Like, I could never, I never saw that side of them, and I felt like it was disgusting to know, like, to work with all these people and not even know that this was happening and that's the type of person they were. So I hope that the momentum from it inspires people to keep speaking out and clean up wrestling, keep it clean.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point too, because it's like, yeah, I'm sure that was for a lot of guys in the industry, and women too, obviously, that like it had to be shocking to hear about a lot of these names that came out. And I think, you know, a lot of people want to say it's a wrestling problem too, but overall, I think it's a societal problem in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of this stuff, I'm sure, happens behind closed doors in any kind of industry. And it's good to see that wrestling gets that opportunity to kind of, like clean out the swamp, so to speak, I guess. So how about, what is one thing you would like to see grow in the wrestling business more so? Is there anything in particular that you've seen, like, kind of in your work, that you'd like to see kind of develop a little bit more and become more mainstream, so to speak?
I think just better storytelling, consistent storytelling throughout the indies is something, because everyone just wants to put on the super PWG style shows that are just the best matches ever. But like, one of the things that drew me to wrestling and kept me hooked was the storytelling aspect of it. Yeah, no,
I think I'm 100% with you on that. I think that's probably my number one choice too. There's like, because I mean, I'm amazed by all the athleticism and the ability to do what some of that stuff is just like jaw dropping. But overall, like, that's what draws you to wrestling, is the characters and the storytelling and the payoff. And no, I'm definitely with you on that. Is there a certain storyline that really you got attached to growing up as a fan or watching it? Is there one that really stands out to you that's like kind of your favorite or anything like that?
Oh yeah, Kevin Steen versus El Generico.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like my number one all-time favorite feud, not food. My bad.
No, I'm with you though, man. That's a great one to have, and like seeing how they kind of developed and went into the WWE and everything like that. It's neat to see their trajectory, and I'm always down for like those two to interact, no matter what. So yeah, how do you feel? What's the future hold for you in regards to the industry? Where do you want to see yourself go?
I just want to see myself be able to make a living for my family through wrestling, no matter where that is or how I do that. I'm fine with it.
There's that, and that's a great mentality to have too, because I mean, as long you're doing what you love, and if you're able to provide for your family, that's the number one thing, man. And you're happy. That's all it boils down to. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to plug or get the word out? Anything you got coming up that you want to say, or anything in that regard, man?
I don't really have anything like publicly announced right now, so you can plug my social media and tell them they can hit me up to buy some T-shirts or stickers or pins. I don't know. I got a ton of merch, man. I was loaded up for WrestleMania weekend this year, and then there's no WrestleMania weekend.
They got blindsided, right? Yeah. What's your Twitter handle?
At Colby Corino on Twitter. On Instagram, it's at Colby.Corino. I don't know who took the one without the period, but
those bastards.
I can't get it. I know, right?
Right? Damn it. So, okay, cool. And then are you on Pro Wrestling Tees? Is that where they can buy some of your merch?
Yeah, you can buy some of my T-shirt designs on Pro Wrestling Tees, but I also have a few designs through Direct Me. Like, I've been producing a lot of my newer shirts by myself, so.
Oh, no shit. Do you do a lot of graphic design stuff?
Well, I don't make the designs. Like, I physically make the T-shirts. I'm not artistically creative enough. I have to outsource that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Like, I wish I knew how to make T-shirts. I can do I'm the opposite. I can do the design aspect. I can't print the T-shirts. I always think that's pretty cool to do too. So folks can DM you or get a hold of you to kind of get. Oh yeah, my DMs are open on Twitter and Instagram. So hey, great, brother. I'm pretty friendly, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're unfriendly. At least. Hey, through this interaction, I think it's been great, man. So I appreciate that. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, you're welcome. I give you an A+.
So cool, man. No, thanks for taking the time. Hey, everybody. This is Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic DeAngelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com and go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. And just follow the podcast feed to listen to this podcast. Just type in WrestleZone on your podcast feed of choice, and you'll get this. You'll get plenty of other interviews that we've done, as well as our daily WrestleZone podcast and everything with Kevin Kellum and Robert DeFelice. So, Colby, thanks so much, brother. It's awesome to speak with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you just grow in the industry and just make a name for yourself, man.
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.